I will make a small presentation about the challenges that we face as a construction company. And it will be mainly focusing on the climate issue. But first I would like to say that I come from a city that very early on took a board to be a fossil-free city. And I think that was a very bold decision. And I think that you have to be bold in order to get anywhere. And I think that the industry, and I think that the politicians and others, they have to be bold in their decisions, in their ambitions. I will also focus mainly on the Swedish market since I work as Sustainability Manager for Skanska Sweden. But I will start with the overall picture for Skanska. What kind of company are we and what kind of tools are we using international to drive our business forward when it comes to green? Skanska works in a number of home markets, mainly in Europe and in the United States. And we are approximately 50,000 employees and has a turnover about 130 billion Swedish crowns. Our Swedish business is one of our largest business, and we have 11,000 employees and has a turnover over 30 billion Swedish crowns. That's just to give you the work we are doing. We are both a construction company and we're also a developer. So we buy the land, we construct the buildings, and then we sell it. We do not operate our buildings or what we build. Our strategic tool is our color palette, or our roadmap. Our ambitions in this roadmap indicates that we are aiming to get into what we call the deep green zone. And the deep green zone consists of 4 different areas. It consists of energy, carbon or climate, it's material, and it's water. And in the deep green zone, it's 0 or is it a positive impact on the environment that we have. So when we construct buildings that are deep green, they have net zero energy. They don't consume energy, or they actually consume, but then we produce energy within the buildings. Zero carbon, that's the toughest one, and we cannot say that we have reached that, and I will explain why. Materials, it's sustainable materials, and it's no materials going to landfill. And the same is for water. No potable water that is not, or net zero water, as we call it. Our ambition is to get into the deep green zone. And you don't have to get all ticket in the box to have deep green buildings. We have set up business targets, how much of our business that should be green or deep green. And that is done in all our business areas. We also categorize all our buildings according to this map or this color palette. And this is actually driving our managers and our business to improve their performance year by year. We have a few what we call deep green buildings. We do not so far have any deep green, oh yeah, we do actually have deep green civil projects. And the deep green buildings, as I told you before, they are energy positive, no waste to landfill, no hazardous materials. And where I come from, Växjö, we just put a building on the market and sold it to our customers. It was a residential building, not very fancy. You could afford it. So it's positive to generate deep green buildings or positive energy buildings already today. We have also put an office building on the market. It's in Helsingborg. It's one of our head offices, and it's also a deep green building. Business targets for green or deep green, and then you categorize all our projects according to this map. Now I will talk a little bit more about the climate issue. Our ambition is 0 carbon emission, and that's almost, I would say, or it's very hard to reach. We actually have a target that we will reach this zero target in 2050. But the toughest thing is it's not only the operation phase that should be zero. It's all the phases. It's the manufacturing, it's the transports, and it's during the construction. The building sector has mainly focused on the operating phase, I would say, when it comes to energy and when it comes to climate. But we are now seeing that more and more emphasis should be on the construction and production phase. But in order to do that, you have to have a tool. You have to have something that helps you take the right decisions. And the tool is climate calculations that we have introduced in our business and that our projects actually are working with. So they actually calculate in a LCA way how much carbon will this project emit. It doesn't matter if it's a road or a house. They have to do the carbon calculation at home. And then you get the numbers, but you also get what are the improvements that you can do. And the improvements, some of them are very easy, they're very cost effective, and others are very hard, and they demand collaboration in the whole value chain. We talk a lot about cars and what the car emits, but there is, I would say, little knowledge about the construction industry and how much emission that originates from the construction phase. This is a work that was carried out last year. And yes, you can see the construction industry or the construction phase is as big as what the car emits. But it's not very well known. It's not regulated. It's not a demand from our customers. But I think when the knowledge is there will come actions. But the first thing is to have the knowledge, and I think we have the knowledge and we have the tools. However, the market. Are they demanding? Are they asking? I say on the Swedish market, they are not asking for carbon or low carbon technologies when it comes to construction. Focusing mainly on the operation phase, but not very much on the construction phase. If we look into our business in UK, the case is different. So we have used our business in UK and introduced it in the Swedish market. And now we are actually seeing that there are a momentum for the clients for asking for low carbon technology and low carbon products. The other thing I think about the markets is that in the construction business, very much come from public procurement. And there are improvements that could be made when it comes to public procurement. If they are not asking, if they are not valuing low carbon technology, I would say nothing or little will happen. That will only lie within the companies themselves. But 50–60% of the construction business is procured by the public. We can see some signs. Trafikverket is nowadays asking for carbon calculations or climate calculations. We also think that you have to have incentives in some way. What these incentives are or how they should be addressed, I don't think. Also, when it comes to Trafikverket, they talked about putting a price on carbon. It was a very high price on carbon. It was 1,300 crowns, Swedish crowns per ton. And it should go back to the construction business that could reduce the carbon emissions from that project. And that, I think, was a brilliant idea. But then it didn't happen. But that was a very good incentive, and that will motivate all the industry. Another challenge we have about is the communication. How do we communicate this in a very easy and very straightforward way? We use, and we have used, and we are pushing very hard the environmental certification schemes. And in the Swedish markets, there are several. But as you see, not very many. I have tried to mark the ones in red. Not very many addresses the climate issue today. And I think that is a big challenge for the future. Those market tools, those environmental certification schemes, are very important. And especially in the building sector, we can see a rapid growth when it comes to environmental certification. So if they don't include climate, I would say some part of our business will be left out. So we will work to get more and more climate-related issues into the environmental certification schemes. In Skanska, I would say that we have the knowledge and we use all these systems. But we are a little bit in love with LEED, and we are a little bit in love in the Swan label. Actually, our residential buildings, more or less, all of them are labeled with a Swan. And we also push very hard when it comes to construction, the infrastructure with SQL. The future is huge. The future has a lot of opportunities and possibilities. There's a lot of talk about the infrastructure and the numbers that will be put into the infrastructure. It should be a low carbon infrastructure, but I think you have to remember that it also has to be a low carbon construction infrastructure. You have to take the operation, not only the operation phase, but also the construction phase into account. I believe that all of you sit in an office, live in a building, have a factory. Actually, you are part of the construction business. And have you ever asked for a climate calculation when you took place in the new building, you built a new office, a new factory? I think you always have to say, it starts with me. In Skanska projects, in Skanska offices, I would say this is always the case. We do our lesson at home because the journey starts with me and it starts with you. Thank you.